Hello, hello, hello. Hey, this is Warren Redlick. Thank you so much for watching. I want to go right into Optimus. This is super exciting. Tesla Optimus revealed a video of the Optimus robot. I've turned off the sound. Hopefully you can't hear it. It's on mute, yeah. This is a video showing a lot of improvements in what Tesla is doing with Optimus with the robot. I think we're seeing a lot of great stuff here. And I'm going to go through, I'm going to talk over the video while the video is playing, and then I've got a whole bunch of reactions from a whole bunch of people, including a number of people inside Tesla who are, and a couple of people who are outside Tesla explaining what this is, what's going on, how they're doing this, and why this matters. And some extent, and it's not just Tesla insiders, it's outsiders in the AI community, someone from NVIDIA. I think there's some important details to understand and see not only what does this mean for Optimus, which is a big deal. I think Optimus is a big deal, but also what does this mean for Tesla FSD? What does this mean for the company as a whole? Cute ending here. Optimus is doing yoga. That's of course silliness and probably not the dangerous, boring, and repetitive work that we need Optimus to do, but cute to see it anyway. So let's start with Ashok Ellaswamy. Ashok Ellaswamy is the head of Tesla's autopilot team. And he says, neural networks and cameras work amazingly well and are really the solution to robotics. Same solution for the car, for Optimus, and will be for all such artificial animals. There's a lot here. It seems like a little, it's a lot. And there's a couple things I want to mention. First of all, I've been following Elon for close to 10 years, maybe longer. And there's a thing where Elon will get super optimistic about something. He'll say something that seems borderline impossible. And your gut reaction is, okay, Elon is, being Elon. Elon's getting over a little excited, so on and so forth. Hello to Matt. Hello to Matthew. Hello to Johnny Football. Thank you guys for joining. So what I think people might not get, and it's something I talk about on a lot of my channel, but maybe it's not something that bears repeating. When Elon is saying something and nobody else on the team is saying it, maybe that's less significant. But when Elon is saying something and the team is saying it, and key members of the team, Gwynne Shotwell, Ashok Ellaswamy, Andre Karpathy, Drew Baglino, when the rest of the team is saying the same things, then I have a lot more confidence that it's not just Elon's, futuristic hopes. Like the team actually thinks they're going to get this done. So Ashok has been very, very positive about self-driving. Karpathy's been positive about self-driving. Karpathy doesn't even work for Tesla anymore. He's still positive about FSD. A lot of positivity here. But the other thing, when he says neural networks and cameras work amazingly well and are really a solution to robotics, this, and you're going to see more of this, there's this idea out there that you need LiDAR, that you need radar, that you need more cameras, that you need, I don't know, X-ray vision, whatever it is. No, you need vision and you need neural networks. That's how we drive. We drive with eyes and neural networks. So we do use some sound. We do use a couple other things, but that's what's necessary. And Ashok is backing that up here. That's something that Elon's been saying. That's something the Tesla team's been doing. That's something a lot of people have been complaining about. The other thing is the reference to for all such artificial animals. That sounds like there's more in the product roadmap. That sounds like they're thinking about something beyond a humanoid robot in a car. And Elon said something about this before. I think Elon said something about friendly robots. I think that Tesla team has other robots in mind that are coming. I'm not sure what kind of robots. I don't know what their purpose is. I personally think Tesla should have a roofing robot. That if you're going to be installing solar roofs and solar panels and high volume, then having bots that can do that work, because that is dangerous, repetitive, and boring work. Going up on roofs is dangerous. It's also hot on the roofs, and humans struggle with the heat, and the bots probably can be made to if you design a specific bot. For a lot of reasons, I think you could design a bot with a low center of gravity, maybe with more than 4 limbs, to be more steady. A spider-like bot to help install solar panels and solar roof tiles. I don't know what they have in mind. That would be since Tesla's in the business of installing solar roof tiles and solar panels, I think that would be an important one. Have I read Kurzweil's Singularity book? I don't know if I've read that. I've seen Ray Kurzweil talk about the Singularity. I don't know if I've read the book, but I'll take a look for it. They have Spot at SpaceX. I don't know that they really use Spot. Spot is the Boston Dynamics Spot. dog bot. Okay, so the other thing from Ashok, this is somewhat lengthy here. Let me make this bigger for myself so I can read it better. These robots do use additional sensing such as audio proprioception, which is like the physical feedback. I'm not sure cars use physical feedback. Maybe they do. Temperature, etc., just like most animals. But no LiDAR, no radar, no ultrasonics, no HD map shenanigans. It will become so obvious over the coming years, we'll be wondering why anyone thought those were a great idea. Again, this is something that critics of Tesla, even fans of Tesla, have been saying, oh, Tesla needs LiDAR, Tesla needs radar. For all the people who are saying the cars need radar, oh, the Tesla's putting radar in the cars, oh, there's radar in the Model S and Model X, and wait, why isn't the radar in the refresh Model 3? Because Ashok doesn't think they need it. And he's the guy. He's the guy in charge of the program. So let's stop with the radar, let's stop with the LiDAR, let's stop with the ultrasonics, the HD maps. It's not just Elon saying it, it's Ashok saying it. Are they playing with radar? Maybe. Is there some potential value from radar? Maybe. But right now, you just heard it from the director of the autopilot team. We're not doing it. It's not Elon. Don't whine about Elon. It's Ashok. This end-to-end neural network approach will result in the safest, the most competent, the most comfortable, the most efficient, and overall the best self-driving system ever produced. It's going to be very hard to beat it with anything else. That's some confidence. Right? For all the people out there, oh, like Gary Black is like, as soon as Tesla solves self-driving, the other guys will have it. Ashok doesn't think so. Ashok doesn't think. It's not just Elon. I want to say this again. It's not just Elon. Ohio gozaimasu, Admiral Medley. It's not just Elon. Okay? And it took a tremendous amount of high-quality data from the fleet, a very large amount of compute, and a world-class engineering team to get to this point. So if you want to develop self-driving like Tesla's developing self-driving, what do you need? You need high-quality data from a fleet, which means you need a fleet nobody else has. You need a very large amount of compute. I think Google has a large amount of compute. I think Facebook has a large amount, Meta has a large amount of compute. There's a few others that have a large amount of compute, but they don't have a fleet. Google has access to a very, very small fleet from Waymo. And a world-class engineering team. Again, Google, Meta, OpenAI, whatever, they have world-class engineering teams, but they don't have everything else. It's going to be a long time before somebody emulates FSD. Long time. All right, see where we are. Okay, James Dalma made his comments. The body dynamics are so good, I'm having a hard time believing this video is real. Yeah, one of the things I loved in the video is there's a moment where a human steps in and he's like moving the things around and the bot keeps going. So it's like, okay, it must be real. This is the neural network-based body control I've been waiting to see. Robot movement should be efficient, graceful, even beautiful, impressive progress. Elon says improvements are also coming in the actuator, sensors, and overall mechanics of Optimus. If you're following Optimus closely, you know Tesla is building the components themselves. They looked around to see what they could buy off the shelf that would be appropriate, motors, actuators, etc., for Optimus, and the market really didn't have what they needed, so they're building them themselves, which is classic Tesla. In-house everything you can. Everything you know. If you can't find something out there that isn't great, then in-house it yourself. And so they're in-housing everything. And what we're seeing with Optimus now is like the first generation of actuator sensors and overall mechanics. They're improving the actuators. These are the motors and other things that run the bot. They're improving the hardware. And we're only on the first generation, well, really on the second generation. There was an earlier generation. There was a 0th generation, right? So we're really only on the first generation hardware. We've got a second generation of hardware coming because the 0th generation was the best they could do with off-the-shelf parts. The first generation now, we're going to second generation hardware, and Tesla tweaks hardware along the way. So it's not really so simple that there's a first generation, second generation. Every once in a while, you'll see a new bot, and it's like there's some tweaks to it. So they're constantly working on that. But we're going to see a next generation Optimus that's going to be even more capable. And as far as the fluidity goes, I think we have a comment from somebody that like the hands stay open too much and don't look human. James also has an exchange with Elon and Dave Lee. Dave Lee responds to Elon. Optimus is looking very fluid and natural with dexterity movements. Are the neural nets trained with human movement? There's going to be more about that in a minute. James Dalma says there have been some impressive dynamics from training via reinforcement learning and simulation, but it doesn't look like this when you put it in a real robot. I'm guessing this is training to mimic human examples. So there's going to be more on that in a minute. In fact, just in a second. I want to just quickly look at the chat. Will Nurses, will the factory footprint be small for bot or large since they will need or want to make so many of them? I think the factory footprint will be small. But I think it's early to even worry about that. And I just want to be clear, like what people are going to be mind blown, your mind's going to be blown by the margins on bot. Will they build them at Texas, make designated factories for bot? I think the first step, my guess would be, since I think the Tesla, I don't know where the team is. I thought the bot team was in California, so making them in Fremont would make more sense. But it's entirely possible they'll just move the bot team to Texas. Elon likes to have the engineers and designers right on the manufacturing line. So I don't think they're close to having a manufacturing line yet, so that's not really critical. I think we'll start seeing, a larger volume of bots produced in 2024, but right now they have maybe 5, maybe 10. I mean, they had 5 last time we saw, maybe they've got 10. I think they're going to go to 100 or 1,000, but that doesn't justify a manufacturing line to make 1,000. When Warren said Google, it triggered Google to my phone. Yeah. Tesla X community went bonkers yesterday. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Everybody went nuts. So I wanted to go outside of the Tesla fan club, right? So this is Jim Fan. He's a senior AI scientist at NVIDIA. He probably is a Tesla fan, to be fair. But he is, former OpenAI, former Google AI. He currently works for NVIDIA as a senior AI scientist. So he had a response to the video that I thought was really worth seeing. So... Okay. He said, let's reverse engineer the phenomenal Tesla Optimus. No insider info, just my own analysis, long read. So there's 4, I got 4 of these to go through with you. The smooth hand movements are almost certainly trained by imitation learning, behavior cloning from human operators. This was something that came up earlier. I think Dave Lee asked, and James Dauma didn't completely answer the question. Maybe James Dauma mentioned it before. The alternative is reinforcement learning and simulation, but that typically leads to jittery motion on unnatural hand poses. So he is suggesting the hand movements we're seeing are something that's trained from watching humans do the same movements. And in a previous Neuralink video, or in a previous Tesla video about Optimus, we did see them training with a human doing movements and bot learning from the human doing movements. I'd have to find the video, but that's not a surprise. They've said that they're doing that. So he says there's at least 4 ways to collect human demonstrations. A custom-built teleoperation system. I believe this is the most likely means used by the Tesla team. Open source examples, Aloha, a low-cost bimanual robot arm and teleoperation system by Stanford AI Labs. He was a Stanford AI PhD student. It enables very precise dexterous motions, such as putting AAA batteries into a remote or manipulating contact lens. Manipulating contact lens? This thing's going to be able to manipulate contact lenses? That's a big deal. If just putting AAA batteries into a remote, we're talking about like really competent stuff here. Oh yeah, thank you, Mark Potocnik. T-shirts at elonbits.com. Please support me on the Locals platform, on Patreon, as a YouTube channel member, or as a subscriber on X, the artist formerly known as Twitter. I'm doing more on X lately than anywhere else, so I would encourage you to support me on X. Join X. There's a lot happening on that platform, and please support me on that platform. Motion capture is another way you can do it. Apply the motion capture systems used for Hollywood movies to capture the fine-grained motions of hand joints. Optimus 5-finger hand is a great design decision. Optimus's 5-finger hand is a great design decision that enables a direct mapping. There's no embodiment gap from human operators. For example, a demonstrator can wear a cyber glove and grasp the cubes on the table as shown in the video. Cyber glove will capture the motion signals and haptic feedback in real time. Haptic feedback is the feel of the thing, which can be retargeted onto Optimus. So that's another approach they might be using, motion capture. Wearing gloves and markers can be clumsy. An alternative way to do motion capture is through computer vision. Dex Pilot from NVIDIA, he works for NVIDIA, enables markerless and glove-free data collection. The human operator simply uses their bare hands to perform the tasks. 4 Intel RealSense depth cameras and 2 NVIDIA Titan XP GPUs translate the pixels to precise motion signals for robot learning, but that doesn't include haptic feedback. The gloves give you haptic feedback. That's the feel of the object in your hand. VR headset. Turn the training room into a VR game. Let humans role-play Optimus. This is the advantage of scalable remote data collection. Annotators from around the world can contribute without coming on site. VR demonstrator period. So although all 4 are not mutually exclusive, Optimus could use a combo of them for different pros and cons. So we don't know what they're using. I've definitely seen them using human in another video. Training by human in another video. Neural architecture. Optimus is trained end-to-end, videos in, actions out. I'm quite sure it's implemented by a multimodal transformer with the following components. This is nerd deep dive. I'll follow this up in a second. A good question from Vakhtari Sinhart. Curious what tasks, jobs, acts, everyday processes you can see this damn fine machine doing regularly. So I think roofing, I think the way Elon puts it, any work that is dangerous, repetitive, and boring. The first task you want bot to do is take tasks away, is to remove the need for humans to perform jobs that are dangerous, repetitive, and boring. Those are the jobs we don't want to do. Dangerous jobs mean we might get hurt. If a bot falls off a roof, it's a lot less consequence than if a human falls off a roof. You might lose the bot, but losing a bot is a lot less damaging than losing a human. You might impair the bot so the bot is no longer super functional, but if you impair a human, they're no longer super functional. That's really awful. So long term, bot will be able to do any manual labor. I mean, I think flipping burgers is a really good example. It's not dangerous, but it's repetitive and boring. Operating the, I actually worked in a Burger King when I was a kid, and one of the guys stuck his hand in the deep fryer, and I actually got grease in my eyes, hot grease in my eyes, and did like minor eye damage, very minimal eye damage, and it healed. So finding work that humans are doing that is dangerous and relieving humans from having to do that work so we can do more high value work and work that is safer for us. I think that's the first step. But the sky's the limit of what bot's going to be able to do in the long run. I think a really good example of the way we're going to see AI play a role in changing society and changing what humans do. I think human actors and human written visual performances are probably dead. I think that AI will take over all of that. I just saw something where Amazon had to limit people to submitting no more than 3 books a day because people are creating so many AI generated novels, which they're probably not getting a lot of reads. Yeah, I'm working on a novel. I'm using AI to help me. It's going to be AI assisted on the Amazon categorization. But unlike all these people who are just churning out novels, I at least seem to have an audience who might be more likely to buy the book and get me a head start. We'll see. So I think that there's so many things that not just bot, but other AIs, and there's other bots coming. Elon said other friendly robots. Ashok said other robotic animals. There's other stuff in the product pipeline, in the product roadmap that Tesla's got coming. Okay, so neural architecture. Optimus is trained end to end. Some multimodal transformer of the following components. This is where it gets a little too nerdy even for me. But image, some variant of efficient VIT, or simply, I think that's vision transformers, or simply an old ResNet efficient backbone. The block pick and place demo doesn't require sophisticated vision. The spatial feature map from the image backbone can be tokenized easily. Okay, that was over my head. Video, 2 ways. Either flatten the video into a sequence of images and produce tokens independently, or have a video level tokenizer. Numerous ways to efficiently process video pixel volumes. You don't necessarily need transformer backbone, slow, fast network. He has a paper on this at Stanford. So I think it's pretty clear from everything that Tesla has told us that they are not working on images. They are working on video segments. That is what they have said they are doing with FSD. Pretty obvious they're doing that with bot as well. Bot vacuuming and plugging in a robotaxi is kind of like the thing that makes robotaxis always available sooner. I definitely can see synergies with bot in the robotaxi network. You could see bot at a supercharger network plugging in the cars. You could see bot cleaning the cars. You could see bot inspecting the cars. You could see bot. You could see replacement of Uber Eats. The food delivery services and other delivery services with a robotaxi and a bot in it, and some kind of robotaxi that's designed for cargo. And you get to the address, and the bot picks the correct item out of the cargo, delivers it to the door, hops back in the car, goes to its next one. I think there's a number of ways we could see that coming about. I personally think just simple security, walking around a secure facility and relaying video back to the main office, or relaying only back when it sees something out of the ordinary. So this is Jim Feng, who's works for NVIDIA. He says, language, it's not clear if Optimus is language prompted. If it is, there needs to be a way to fuse the language representations into perception. FILM is a very lightweight neural network module that serves its purpose. You can think of it intuitively as a cross-attention of language embedding into the image processing neural pathway. I don't think that Optimus is responding to oral commands yet, but I think it's coming, and I think the Tesla team is going to be working on that. And I think also the X.AI team is probably working on large language models, and they will coordinate with Tesla AI. I think we're going to see a lot of cooperation there. Optimus X says, why is Gary Black so bearish about the bot? He doesn't seem to acknowledge any of its development since its inception. Gary doesn't see things until it generates revenue. I think that's the Wall Street way. I'm not sure I don't think it's correct. It's not the way I look at things, but that's my best guess. Action tokenization. Optimus needs to convert the continuous motion signals into discrete tokens for the autoaggressor transformer to work. A few ways. Again, this is nerd stuff that's over my head. I'm not even going to bother reading that because it's like, I understand like 1% of that. Putting the above pieces together, we have a transformer controller that consumes video tokens, optionally with language modulation, and outputs action tokens one step at a time. The next frame from the table is fed back to the transformer so it knows the consequence of its action. That gives the self-corrective ability shown in the demo. Yeah, there's this moment where the human moves stuff and the bot has to correct, and it corrects super quick. I believe the architecture is most similar to Google RT1 and NVIDIA VMA. Lastly, I'm genuinely impressed by the hardware quality. The motions are fluid. The aesthetics are amazing as well. As I mentioned above, it is such a great decision to follow human morphology closely so that there's no gap in imitating humans. Atlas from Boston Dynamics. This is the Boston Dynamic robots. That robot that Tesla haters love to say, oh, look, Tesla's nowhere close to Boston Dynamics. Boston Dynamics bot only has a simple gripper-style hands. In the long run, Optimus's bidextrous 5-finger hands, 2 hands, 5 fingers each, will prove far superior in daily tasks. Congratulations to Tesla, Optimus team, and Elon. I look forward to seeing the bots roam Mars someday. There's another use case. Bots on Mars. Dangerous, right? You're going to be able to have bots on the moon and Mars and in space, and they're going to be exposed to the vacuum of space, and they should be able to function in the vacuum of space, in the thin atmosphere of Mars and the no atmosphere of the moon, places where humans need a spacesuit. I think we're going to see bots that are capable of working on the moon and Mars. Some other responses to the video. This is Milan Kovac. This is the next few are Tesla employees. We made quite some progress on the AI side on our way to making Optimus help with repetitive, boring, or dangerous tasks. Very proud of the teams, right? So that's from Milan. Again, when you see people on the Tesla team who are saying the things that Elon is saying, then Elon becomes a lot more credible to me. It's not just Elon being exciting and optimistic about the future. All of a sudden, it's like, well, there's a lot of other people who are on the same page now. Anand, another Tesla team member. Take a look at the latest on what our team has been working on. It requires exquisite synergy between hardware and software engineers, along with constant iteration on each to search for the global maxima. We frequently go back to the drawing board, question everything, and stare at our limbs and hands, wondering at how it all works. Please reach out if you have a passion to work on whole body control, state estimation, other core tech needed to make Tesla Optimus an economic multiplier. So there's a bunch in here. So first of all, Elon talks about this. I just mentioned this earlier. Having the hardware team, the software team together, having the designers and the engineers on the manufacturing line so they can address problems and they see it in real time. These are the things that make manufacturing better. These are the things that make product development better, is when people are working together and your constant iteration on each to search for the global maxima. You want to be constantly iterating. You need to be ready to go back to the drawing board and question everything. This is like reading Elon's biography. This is the kind of stuff you get out of the biography. And what's the point? This is not to pump the stock. They don't care about pumping the stock. This is to get recruit. The purpose of this, reach out if you have a passion to work on whole body control, state estimation, other core tech needed to make Optimus an economic multiplier. They are recruiting. The purpose is they want to attract the best engineers possible, the best team possible, so that they can make bot work better. That's Tesla's game. All these presentations we've seen, they have, the Tesla Plaid event, the AI Day 2, Autonomy Day. These events are not to pump the stock. The haters out there will say it's to pump the stock. These events are to pump recruiting. They want to get the best players they can on their team to make this as successful as possible. And then the last thing, make Optimus an economic multiplier. So there's a lot of people talking about how Optimus is going to take jobs away. Instead of thinking about it from another perspective, it makes employees more productive. It makes you more productive. It makes me more productive. It makes your employees more productive. On the one hand, you can look at it and say, okay, I got 10 people working on this job. Now I only need 5. On the other hand, you could say, now that I only need 5 for this job, I can do 4 times as many jobs and still make a profit and make my customers happy because I'm charging them less money. And that means you're employing twice as many people and you're getting a lot more work done. You need 4 times as much work done with twice as many people. That's an economic multiplier. There's a tendency for us to think it's going to take jobs away from humans instead of thinking, this makes humans so much more productive. It actually creates more jobs from humans, and it delivers the products and services to the customers for less money, and it makes the owner more profit. It's an economic multiplier. Very important. This idea that we need universal basic, this idea, I'm going to disagree with Elon here. Elon thinks we need universal basic income. No. We need to multiply the labor force's power. That generates a lot more product and services, and it lowers their prices so people can afford them more easily. And you might actually create more jobs rather than less jobs. It's thinking about the world as a static pie that leads you to think it's going to destroy jobs. The workforce has grown, the economy has grown, all the technology we've added has made humans more productive, and it's created more jobs, not less. I don't see why that changes. I can understand there's some future out there, decades away, where the bots are so good at everything and the AI is so good at everything, the humans don't need to work anymore. I don't agree with that even then. That's more compelling, but we're a long way from that if it ever is going to happen. I still think it just makes humans more productive. Okay, Ashish, another Tesla employee. A sneak peek of what we have been up to at Tesla with the humanoid robot. A robust controller is critical to real-world deployment. We get it as a natural consequence of using end-to-end learning with large-scale data. Robust controller. Okay, I don't know exactly what he means by that, but I love it. Carl Johnson says nursing home prices go down, food quality goes up, care goes up, and so on. Yeah, my mother was in an assisted living facility. And, it's a harsh thing to say, but sometimes people poop themselves. And you need to clean that up. Now, I guess it's a repetitive, it's an unpleasant job. If bot can do that job and save humans from having to do that job and let humans focus on the caring, dealing with the person, that's a huge step up. And the labor force in nursing homes, it's hard to get good people. They can't pay enough. If Optimus can handle a paint sprayer and if the MSRP is reasonable on that bad boy, I might get 5 of these guys on the job site. The future is exciting. Yeah, there's so much potential for this. Jim Whitehead says the latest Optimus film showing computer picking out stuff and doing yoga stretching looks good to this former AI researcher. Boston Dynamics never made a robot that can learn like that. Yeah, I think this is the thing. The Boston Dynamics people can program a bot to do yoga, let's say, or jumps or whatever. I don't know that they can program a bot to do that sorting that Tesla bot did. Optimus thread a needle, that'd be fun. I'd be favor of bots where you required to pay taxes. Yeah, this is an example. Like the real thing that's going to hold back the technological progress is people wanting to tax everything in sight. Somehow the first reaction V. Nelson has is we've got to generate revenue for government. Like, how about we make life better for people? Okay, space tour advisor, yeah. So the last one I want to show, this is not a Tesla employee. This is just an outside commentator, and this guy is somewhat unpopular in some circles, Ian Miles Chong, but leave aside his political stuff. If you're mocking prototype androids like Optimus, you're going to wish you didn't in 15 years when they're all capable of doing your job better than you ever will. I think it's not every job, and I wish people would stop thinking about it that way and start thinking about how much this can help you do your job better. How much more productive can something like Optimus or some AIs make you more productive at your job, so you can provide more quality products and services to your customers at a lower price. You as an employer can hire more employees to do even more work at lower price, making you more profit, making your employees more money, and making the customers happier. This is a win-win-win. If you look at this as a win-win-win, this is a tremendous opportunity. Okay, so moving off of Tesla for a moment, probably more Tesla. There's always more Tesla I could talk about. Falcon 9, there's another Starlink launch. Falcon 9's first stage landed on the drone ship. The second booster in our fleet was 17 launches and landings. Okay, it was rated for 10. Falcon 9 was rated, when they originally made Falcon 9 reusable, the plan was to use them 10 times. They've done 17 with two different rockets. It's not massive unemployment. There's a massive labor shortage right now, and the labor shortage is going to get worse and worse as we face population collapse. And having bot enable people to do more work is fantastic. So This is a big deal. The fact that SpaceX has been able to execute this well, I think Starship is coming soon. Unfortunately, the Fish and Wildlife Service seems to be getting in the way of the next test launch. I wonder if they're going to start moving Starship development over to Canaveral, because these delays are silly. But this is positive progress for SpaceX that they've been able to demonstrate they've massively overperformed their own goals. Their own goals were to do 10 launches and landings with a booster, and they just done 17 with 2 separate boosters. So the value creation there, that's a $50 million rocket you're not wasting. If you use it in 10 launches, it's $5 million a piece. If you can use it in 20 launches, then the amortization of the rocket is $2.5 million a launch. So that's a huge deal. Okay. About Starlink. So Dr. Know-It-All, John Gibbs, was talking about how he's happy to have Starlink at home. And it's a fundamental assumption we all live in places with gigabit Ethernet. Some of us don't. So for us, this service is critical. James Douma says, in my case, it was uptime. There's only one cable provider at my address, and it's frequently down for hours at a time. I think we've all been there. Peak speeds were better on cable, but Starlink is fast enough, and it's never down. So Elon says, I wish we were never down, but Starlink will keep improving rapidly. Our goal is a consistent less than 20 millisecond latency to major data centers within a region. This is extremely difficult, but we will get there. Bandwidth will also improve with each generation of satellites and user terminals. Our toughest challenge with bandwidth is peak throughput in areas with high user density. It's much easier to achieve high bandwidth in sparsely populated regions. So the satellite is flying over an area. If there's a dense population in that area and there's a lot of Starlink users, then that satellite may have too much demand. And even if you have multiple satellites over the area, there may be too much demand for those areas. In sparsely populated areas, it'll do well. We have new generations of satellites coming on. I just saw a report that there's a new pair of Starlink terminals, one smaller one for homes. Maybe, I don't even know if it's larger, but another one for commercial users that will be able to handle higher bandwidth and more connections and so on. Elon will own rockets, cars, energies, bots, and everything else. I don't think he's going to own everything else. Bots will be rented to AGIs and humans who want to telecommute a physical job. The disassociation of body and mind is useful. Never should bots physically trade places. Okay. Bring back moon boots. Okay. So progress on Starlink. I think that's important. Talking about X again. Miles Chong is here. But again, this is not politics, right? This guy's a political figure that people don't like. But this is just about the hardware now. About the tech. X now has a ton of simpler new options for reporting that makes it far easier to report child sexual exploitation and other illegal content. The repulsor also one click, so you don't have to spend a lot of time clicking the next button. So we actually have a friend who's had this problem. I've had this problem a lot on YouTube. I have this problem on X occasionally, where somebody creates a clone account, a doppelganger account. They take your user profile, they make a name that's really close to your name, they take a handle that's really close to your handle, they create an account, and then they'll start DMing people, and the people think, oh, it's Warren. And they might sucker him into giving him money. And I actually had somebody who follows me who was on YouTube, and this guy actually has my cell phone number. And anyway, he saw a message, one of the doppelgangers replied to one of his comments on one of my YouTube videos and said, hey, message me on Telegram. Well, I don't have a Telegram. And I have this guy's cell phone number. Why would I tell him to contact me on Telegram? But he fell for it. Humans are flawed. We're not perfect. And so this is a problem on all platforms. So, Twitter is working, or X is working on making it easier to report these fake accounts and other things. Elon also says we are also simplifying the internal workflow, which is now less of a Kafkaesque nightmare, and adding more resources to review user reports. So if I wanted, the story here is if I saw a doppelganger account on my account, I would have to click a button to report the account. Then I would have to go through a whole bunch of steps. One of the steps is I've got to upload my ID. Like, I have a verified account. Why do I have to upload my ID? I have a verified account. They don't. I've already verified. You already have my credit card and my phone number. I'm already verified. I've got 60, 70,000 followers. This account has 14 followers or 34 followers or whatever. It should be pretty obvious that the X team can go in and figure it out. And the underlying story is they're dealing with the legacy structure from Twitter. And they've got to fix a lot of things to make things work. So the system that they had before was a Kafkaesque nightmare. Franz Kafka wrote The Metamorphosis and was an important writer in the past. bureaucratic nightmare or whatever, and they're getting rid of the bureaucratic nightmare, and they're adding more resources, which means they're hiring more people to review user reports, unless that's one of the jobs Optimus is doing. Let's just see. Do you think Elon will ever do a satellite cell phone? I don't think Elon is going to enter the phone industry because I know they use different beams and antennas for dense areas, Jim, but there's still going to be a capacity limitation. The more users you have, the more problems you're going to have. I don't think Elon's going to do any kind of phone because I think the existing phone industry is highly competitive. Elon looks for places that are where the tech is not advancing and there's an opportunity to make a 10x improvement. Apple, the Android universe, they're working really hard to make better and better phones all the time. Elon loves the iPhone. I don't think he feels a need to replace them. And T-Mobile's already working with Starlink to do effectively a satellite cell phone. But, you know, if you can have 5G, it's going to be a better connection than going through a satellite. When Starlink connects to my Neuralink, then I'll link. Perhaps SpaceX will have satellites with at least 2 different kinds of antennas, depending on whether it's flying over a dense area or sparse area. I think that's probably not optimal for the satellites. I'm not sure. Warren, why are your videos on YouTube not listed correctly? Nuxley, I don't know what you mean. If you could reply and telling me how my video is listed and how you think it should be listed, I don't know what you mean. And there's 365 people watching right now, so people found it. I don't know what you're referring to. Admiral Medjay says, Redlick, I heard that goods and services are crazy cheap in Japan right now for US dollar holders. Can you validate or debunk that for me, please? So yeah, well, stepping aside, for those who don't know, I'm living in Japan. I'm in Nagoya, Japan right now. I would say, generally speaking, things are about half the price in Japan that they are in the US. The one shocker, though, I posted this on X the other day, the one that really shocked me was when I ordered 24 bottles of Pellegrino, 16.9 ounce bottles, 500 milliliter bottles, and they were delivered to my apartment building for less than half the price that I would have paid to go to Sam's Club in Florida, drive my car. I would have to drive to Sam's Club, buy them, and bring them home. That would cost me twice as much as having them delivered to my apartment building. I have Amazon Prime, so that eliminates the shipping cost. But still, it was less than half the price. For Italian water, that's a longer trip from Italy to Japan than it is from Italy to Florida. I'm struggling to figure that one out. Milk is less expensive. Tofu is crazy cheap. Pay like 40 cents for a thing of tofu. Chicken breast, oddly, is cheaper, not so much because chicken is cheaper, but because chicken breast is not preferred by Japanese consumers. They prefer thigh meat and other kinds of meat, and chicken breast is considered like tasteless. My rent is half my rent in Florida. I think cars are still pricey. Gasoline is still expensive, but a lot of things are cheap. Going out to eat is crazy cheap. I can go out to eat for less than $5, and certainly less than $10 easy. I went out, I had a shot of rum last night, a premium Venezuelan rum, and it was less than $5 for a shot of rum. I would probably pay $10 for that at a bar in Florida. And I'm not talking about some cheap dive. I'm talking about Bar Mexican, which is a nice restaurant. And close to the Nagoya station. It's a popular place. I never got the half-hour notice you were going live. I was watching for it. Did you forget, or did YouTube not send out notices? I don't know what happened there. I think I published that I was going live more than a half hour before I went live. So, yeah. Yeah, it is 8:48 a.m. here. That's correct. Okay, so last thing I wanted to cover was the Boring Company. I am pleased to report I got a response from Elon. This happens once in a while. This is probably around number 14 or 15 that he has replied me on X, and this is one of the ones I like best when he responds with substance rather than just something quick. You'll see he'll reply to people and say, you know, wow or LOL or whatever. I got an actual substantive response. So I'm going to show you the full post in a second. I went into depth into what I think the Boring Company can do. And I'm making some bold claims like Boring Company will reach $1 trillion market cap. They'll have over 10,000 miles of tunnel by 2030, so on and so forth. And I have some pretty big claims here. Elon says this is actually possible from a technology standpoint. By far the biggest impediment is getting permits. Construction is becoming practically illegal in North America and Europe. And the measly incremental subway or surface train construction has been done in recent years, cost over $1 billion a mile. Boring Company can do tunneling for under $10 million a mile. So you're talking about 100. When I said they're not going to do a phone because Elon looks to do a 10x improvement, Boring Company is doing 100x, more than 100x improvement over existing tunneling and roadway building technologies. So here's the full post that I did, or the near full post that I did. And the last part of it here, this section from here down, is actually what the Boring Company posted back in 2022 when they did a funding round. But I'm predicting that the Boring Company will IPO by 2028 and reach a $1 trillion market cap by 2030. It will have over 10,000 miles of tunnel by 2030, solving traffic problems in many cities and generating insane revenue. I'm going to explain how I think that works in a second. Its growth rate will still be rising. By 2035, Boring will have over 100,000 miles of tunnel. Again, Elon said this was technically possible, and you'll see why down here. By 2040, Boring tunnels will connect North America to Asia by the Bering Strait, replacing all cargo shipping and air travel across the Pacific. Again, Elon said this is technically feasible, right? We can, what did he say? What was his exact quote? Actually possible from a technology standpoint, right? So I've been saying this. There's a game changer for the world if we bore the Bering Strait. If we have 4 tunnels through the Bering Strait, 2 for cargo and 2 for passenger travel, we eliminate all trans-Pacific cargo shipping and we eliminate all trans-Pacific air travel. We replace it all with tunnels that are faster, safer, cheaper, game changer, and not emitting diesel fumes, and not polluting the ocean, like game changer for humanity, game changer for the environment, game changer for everything, and better for everybody, better for passengers, better for cargo shippers, better for cargo receivers. Huge game changer. You'd have to work with Russia because the tunnel would go through Russia. Let the Chinese pay the Russians off. We got that covered. Just maybe stop fighting wars with Russia. Stop treating Russia and China as the enemy. And we can make game changing for the world. We can change the world. We need to stop looking at the world as a zero-sum game where we have to fight the Russians and the Chinese and the Iranians and the North Koreans over everything, and start thinking, how can we work with these guys to make life better for all humanity? We can lead in that. We are still the world's largest power, economic power, military power ever. We can continue to be a bully. And I know some people say, oh, we're not the bully, they're the bully. Yeah, we have troops all over the world. They don't. You can say we're a good bully, but we're still a bully. We can stop playing that game and we can start playing the, hey, look at how much we can do for humanity. Look what's up there in space. Let's work together. Let's work with the Chinese. Let's work with the Russians. We used to work with the Russians on going to space. Putin was still the head of Russia. We were working with him. Work with it. Let's work with these guys. Say, how can we work together to give humanity access to all these resources and all these opportunities instead of fighting over what's on the ground? But these are some game-changing things we can do. We can make the world, these tunnels that I'm talking about, just in America, you run tunnels in American cities, there's no noise pollution at the ground level. There's no air pollution. There's no pedestrians getting hit by cars. Certainly not at high speed. There could be still some interactions at the stations, but the stations, the speeds are no more than 5 miles an hour. And ultimately, I think Boring Company vehicles will be lightweight. So, the idea of somebody getting hit by a car at high speed just isn't going to happen in the tunnels. It's a game changer for humanity. These are the things that can really advance humanity. It gets you there. It reduces your commute time. It costs you less money. No air pollution, no noise pollution at the ground level. Game-changing technology. I think the answer, by the way, to Elon's point about permitting is you need to go to state-level politicians. I think somebody like Ron DeSantis, or whoever his replacement is when he becomes president. But Ron DeSantis did this along with the state legislature with self-driving cars. They passed a law. Self-driving cars are legal in Florida. Robo-taxi networks are legal in Florida. Local governments are prohibited from regulating or taxing them. If the Florida state government said, you know what, or the Texas state government or the Nevada state government says, you know what, we see how great these tunnels are. We see how great these are for our people. We need to stop local governments from getting in the way. So we're adopting a set of rules. Here's what you have to do a tunnel system. Smooth it out. Make it one simple permitting process, statewide. You don't have to go through multiple layers. You don't have to go through planning boards and zoning boards and committees and you get committed to death, and it takes 7 years to do something. I have a little story about that, which I could tell. I'll tell the story. I was a town board member at the town of Guilderland, New York. There was a project called Glassworks Village, and I got elected in 2007, started serving in 2008. Glassworks Village had been in the works for years. And the town supervisor kept telling him, oh yeah, we're going to make this happen for you. We're going to work with you, so on and so forth. Dragged the process out over 7 years. Go to the planning board, go to the zoning board, have a meeting with the local community, whatever. 7 years dragging them out, getting campaign contributions, I suspect. 2008 comes along, I get elected to the board, another guy is elected with me, we're like in the minority party, and it comes up to a vote. And I told them ahead of time, I'm voting no on this, because I don't believe in spot zoning. I believe spot zoning is unconstitutional. The idea was that we're supposed to adopt a zoning law that says this particular parcel can do this, that is not constitutional. If we said, hey, we're going to identify a whole bunch of areas of land where we're going to allow this kind of development and it's not going to be spot zoned, that would be constitutional. I told them right up front, I'm not voting for this. I think it's a great project. I'm not voting for it because I don't vote for spot zoning. 6-1 vote in favor, but by the time they got the approval, the economy had collapsed and they couldn't get financing. And that's what happens when you make people drag things out over 7 years. And this is what local governments do. And this is what state governments do sometimes. We need to, if we have a project, tunnel project, a development that seems like a nice development, we need to have a streamlined process so people can get things done. We're not adding value by having people go back and forth to committees and boards and so on and so forth. So that's the game. If you've identified, wow, this tunnel thing's gonna be great for everybody, then make it happen. And government needs to make it happen. And if you know Ron DeSantis, I'm a Ron DeSantis fan. If you have any contact with Ron DeSantis, Warren is saying, what you did for self-driving cars, do it for the tunnels. Because we've seen proposals in Fort Lauderdale and Miami and they haven't happened yet. Why aren't they happening? Probably local permitting and other BS. And frankly, it's local politicians saying, how can I extract some money out of this? How can I extract some campaign contributions out of this? How can I have my family member hired for this? How can I get my buddy hired for this? That is not the way forward. If you have some sort of technology, some sort of change that's going to make life better for everybody, get local government out of the way. Sorry. So this is from the Boring Company. ProofRock is a next-generation tunnel boring machine designed to construct mega infrastructure projects in a matter of weeks instead of years and at a fraction of the cost. The current iteration of ProofRock, called ProofRock 2, is designed to mine at up to a mile a week, meaning a tunnel the length of the Las Vegas Strip, approximately 4 miles, can be completed in a month. Okay? ProofRock 3. Now, mile a week is 50 miles a year. Okay, so ProofRock 2, you produce one new ProofRock machine a month, you get 12 ProofRocks at the end of the year. The next year, you can do 600 miles. The year after that, you can do 1,200 miles a year. And it's below here. Did I include it here? I think I didn't. I think I left this out. In the last 20 years, the United States has done 20 miles of subway tunnel. 1 mile a year. They're talking about 1 mile a week, right? And then ProofRock 3 is designed to be even faster with the medium-term goal of 1/10 of human walking speed or 7 miles a day. That'd be 2,000 miles a year, right? And that's the medium term. What's their long-term goal? If their long-term goal is 7 miles a day, what's their long-term goal? So this is a potential game changer for humanity, and we need to, this is the kind of thing when you see this, and here's what I see happening. The thing that I think will address this problem that Elon talks about. The game changer that I think is gonna come, that's gonna make this better. Las Vegas is gonna be complete. Boring Company's doing a system there. Another year or two, the system will be complete. It's like 60 plus miles. Las Vegas is a convention center. It's one of the largest convention centers in the United States. Government officials, local government officials, state government officials often have conventions where they go to this convention every year. And 1 year it might be in Orlando, 1 year it might be in Vegas. Orlando and Vegas are the two biggest convention centers in America. So local government officials will fly into Vegas. They'll get into the airport. Hey, how am I getting my hotel? Oh, let's try this thing. And they hop in the Boring Company tunnel system. And they get to their hotel like that at low cost, super convenient, super safe. They don't have to deal with the driver. They don't have to tip somebody. Like, they don't have to deal with some driver who speaks some foreign language and they're struggling with it. There's no smells in the car. There's no weird music playing. You just get there. And then they take the thing on the way back, and they might ride the system in Vegas while they're there. This would be really cool if we had it in my hometown. Not because I care about the people I represent, but because I want it for myself. If you could make a system that's so good that the local government officials are visiting Vegas and Orlando say, this is a good idea. If we had this in my place, there was a presentation Boring was making to the Clark County Commission. Clark County is the county that Las Vegas is in. And one of the commissioners is like, wait a minute. You're going to make my commute go from 30 minutes to 7 minutes? It was basically like, when can you start? You know, he's like, okay, I'm on board. You're going to reduce my commute from 30. He didn't say, wait, you're going to reduce commutes for all my constituents from 30 minutes? He's like, no, you're going to reduce my commute. Look, local government officials are self-interested. If you can deliver something that makes their lives better, you're more likely to get this. Now, I still think it would be better if we can get someone like Ron DeSantis, someone like Greg Abbott from Texas, someone like Youngkin in Virginia, to say, you know what, I recognize this thing's great. And, you know, you develop a good system in Vegas, you develop a good system wherever the next system's going to be. My guess is Austin. Hopefully we see one in Orlando. You develop a good system in a few places. People go and experience it. They say, I want this. Now you go to the governor. You go to the state legislature. Look, we've got something that's really good, not just for the people, but for you personally, for your staff, for the local government officials. Here's how we get it done. You need to adopt statewide legislation to speed up installation of the tunnels. And this is a game changer for America as well, because this massively improves economic efficiency. It enables economic growth. If you're concerned, oh, China's rising faster than this, I personally don't care if China rises faster than this. I want China to rise. I want India to rise. I want humanity around the globe to live better lives. But if you decide, because China's going to see this, China's going to figure this out. They're going to call Elon and say, hey, listen, we want some of these systems in China. And if the Chinese government wants something, local governments ain't getting in the way. Right? That doesn't work that way in the United States. If the president says he wants something, local governments can still get in the way. He doesn't have authority over local governments. The governors and the state legislatures can do something to stop local governments from getting in the way. Chinese are going to do this. I see this coming. The Chinese are going to say, hell, we got all these they got like 50 cities of 1 million or more people. And each one of those cities is going to need at least 100 miles of tunnel. Right? And maybe 1,000 miles of tunnel for some of the bigger cities, Shanghai and Beijing. The Chinese are going to say, make it happen for us. You know, and the game plan that I see that makes like total sense to me is Boring Company goes to a city and says, look, we'll build the tunnel system at no charge to the city, and we'll give you 10% of revenue in perpetuity. We'll charge tolls, we'll generate revenue however we generate it. You figure out how you're going to generate revenue. It's probably some sort of toll system, and maybe it's also like this guy wants to build a station that's attached to the system. They got to pay us something to be a part of the system. Something along those lines. You figure out how you're going to generate your revenue. You're going to generate a ton of revenue. You give 10% to the city. The city is like, wait a minute. It costs us nothing. It fixes our traffic problem, and it generates revenue for us. What's the downside? Right? And if you're Cincinnati and you say no and Cleveland says yes, 3 years later, Cleveland has this spectacular system and all your residents are going over to Cleveland saying, why the hell don't we have this? Wait a minute. You voted no on this? You're all voted out. Oh, thank you, Wide World of Trains. Thank you so much. All right. So that's Boring Company. I think it's enough on that. Oh, dear Lord. Guy Larrabee, I hear this one all the time. I don't see the boring of tunnels in Florida because of the high water table. In Florida, you dig 4 feet and you hit water. I know I live in South Florida. Guy, go to the port of Miami. Tell me how you get there. You go through a tunnel. Fort Lauderdale has a tunnel. You can do tunnels in Florida. There's a tunnel under the English Channel. There's tunnels under rivers in New York. This is a popular misconception. The tunnels are watertight. It works. You can tunnel in Florida. Jim Whitehead says, so the secret to getting tunnels approved is to make sure most of the politicians get a tunnel near work. At least some of the politicians, yeah. Yeah, well, but they will go to where they work, right? It's just sort of natural. It's going to work that way. Free Kekistan says, literally all they have to do is make a decent hole on Optimus and humanity is doomed. I don't see many of us men turning that down. A decent hole, yes, okay. Sex bots already exist. Boring tunnel work will lead directly to tunnels on Mars by robots digging for minerals and habitats. So the concern I have about boring tunnels on Mars or the moon is that I think the boring machines require a massive amount of electricity. And at least in the early days of the Mars colony or the moon base or whatever, you're going to need all that solar energy for whatever you're working on without the tunnels. And most of the gain of the tunnels is going to come later when you have more people. But, if you want to protect yourself from radiation, you just have to build a structure and then put like 2 feet of dirt, local dirt on top of it, and that'll protect you from radiation. Tunnel billboards are a blur, yes. Good watertight tunnel, thank you, all right. Yeah, I mean, I think you could see a tunnel to Sapporo from northern Honshu, sure. Honshu is the major island in Japan that Tokyo is on, and Kobe and Osaka, and it goes up to Aomori Prefecture, Sendai, Aomori. And then Hokkaido, Sapporo is on the North Island of Hokkaido. Having a tunnel through there would be a good idea. And that's a long haul. I think there's already bridges or tunnels from Honshu to Kyushu and from Honshu to Shikoku, which are the 2 other major islands. There's definitely a bridge. But yeah, adding tunnels would make sense. When can I buy a bot, Marty Party 03 says? I think buying a bot is probably a ways off. And I'm not sure they're going to sell them to consumers. They might just operate them as fleets. When are we going to Mars? So I predict that SpaceX could send a test mission to Mars in 2026. Ideally, more than one test mission to Mars to see if they can land a Starship on Mars. If they can get a test mission to get to Mars in 2026, then I think in 2029 we'd see many cargo missions to Mars without humans on them. And then 2031 would be humans to Mars. Possibly 2029, but I think that's over. At this point, I think that's overly optimistic. There may be tunnels or caverns on the moon, but I don't know how useful they are. Boring companies' products fit in a rocket, not coincidence. Do they? 12 feet in diameter. They fit in a Starship for sure. They might even fit in a Falcon 9. Is there already a tunnel to Hokkaido? I didn't know that. Warren, last week, one of my American friends came to visit me in Geneva after he spent a month in Shanghai. He told me he saw more Teslas in Shanghai than in the entire state of California. That seems unlikely, but possible. I mean, Shanghai's bigger. I think that's unlikely. There's a lot of Teslas in California. Shanghai hasn't been adding Teslas that much, but there's a lot there. Strait of Gibraltar Tunnel could connect Europe to Africa. Interesting. Yeah, the challenge, like the Bering Strait idea, there's an island in the middle of the Bering Strait, so it makes the runs not that long. You can't have the runs too long because then you have like oxygen issues and stuff. I think you can't like just do a tunnel under the Pacific Ocean, right? You can't do like a 1,000-mile tunnel or a 10,000-mile tunnel. You got to have some escape access, exits, whatever. Get your ass to Mars, Arnold Schwarzenegger, yes. Any dates yet? I did have a date, it didn't go well. I'm not really trying to date yet in Japan. The game plan in Japan right now, and I don't think I'm going to be on the Daily Live today. I've got other stuff I need to work on. Activate the reactor from the Martian, yeah. My game plan right now for Japan is I joined a co-working space. I'm going to join another co-working space. I go out and meet people in various ways. And the idea is hopefully to build a network of friends. Actually, honestly, like just building friendships is a challenge right now. But the idea is to build networks of friends, and then gradually over time you meet people through friends. That's the real way that dating works well, and that's the way things used to work in America and before dating apps. And I don't think dating apps are going to work for me. I've been watching recent videos on inflatable habitats on Mars and the Moon made by Sierra Space. NASA's very interested, worth checking out. I think inflatable habitats might work, but you need to cover them with something to some mass, mass and volume so that you're protecting from radiation. The lava tubes on the moon have been radar echo measured at 1 kilometer by 500 meters tall. I don't know. I don't know what's on the moon yet. We'll figure that out. If it's there, that's great. Texas Wildlife Authority will single-handedly keep us from going. It's not the Texas Wildlife Authority. It's the Fish and Wildlife Agency, the federal agency. It's a federal agency. 1 is a bot, 10 is a gaggle of bots, or a rave of robots. I don't know. Should Elon develop and sell weapons to Israel? I think that, generally speaking, Tesla and Elon don't develop weapons at all. I think some of the products that Tesla and SpaceX develop might be useful for militaries. That's not my goal. I don't think we should be focusing on developing weapons. I think we should be focusing on seeing how we can expand, improve life for humans on Earth and expand our potential to go into space. And we should be working together with other countries instead of fighting them. Block SpaceX, let China go first. Light that Starship candle. Yep. Okay. So I think we've beaten the horse to death, and I want to thank everybody for watching. Thank you in particular to Mark Plott, Mark Potocnik, and Jim Whitehead for moderating the chat. Please check out the t-shirts at elonbits.com. Please support me on the Locals platform, on Patreon as a YouTube channel member, and in particular as a subscriber on X. It's WR4NYGov. Look for my novel that's coming soon. Stay away from dating your coworkers. I don't have coworkers. Is somebody in a co-working space a coworker? I don't think so. So thanks, everybody.